You need to make your content more clickable. Does that sound familiar to you guys? If you've been doing YouTube for a while, you obviously know what this term is because you should be checking your metrics at least a few times a week, right? Right? But if you're new to YouTube and you're not sure what all these metrics means and all these numbers are telling you, then one of the most important ones you need to understand is what CTR means, or click-through rate. If you go into the YouTube Creator Academy, and I highly suggest that you do this, you get a clear definition as to what CTR actually is, but I'm gonna break it down in a simple format because there's a lot of information in there. But essentially what CTR is YouTube put your video in front of somebody. Basically that's called an impression. And after they've shown this video to somebody, either they click on it or they don't. And that's what affects your CTR percentage. So basically if they don't, you lose CTR percentage, and if they do, you gain it. Man, this information is so awesome and groundbreaking, but how the heck do I get people to click on my videos anyway? Well, the simple answer to that question—
creative titles and thumbnails.
Bro, this is 2 videos in a row. Stop it, you ruined the surprise. Yes, we had to have not only a really awesome title that's captivating, but we also had to have a really awesome thumbnail because people are more visual in nature. And you got to make people curious as to what your video is going to be about, so that way they click on it. When you're thinking about making YouTube thumbnails, you got several options. You can either use free software that's available online that you have to build it from scratch, or you can use paid software like the Affinity design suite and have to build it from scratch as well. You just have more tools at your disposal. But there's a third option that most people don't know about, and that's the website called Snappa. What's going on, guys? My name is Max, and welcome back to another video. So this is part 2 of 3, where we take a look at the website called Snappa that provides templates for all sorts of social media, but more specifically what we're looking at is it provides templates for your YouTube channel as well as any live stream platform that you're on. So make sure you hit the subscribe button because we got part 3 coming up next week that's going to be talking about making all the design work that you need for your live streaming platform. So you definitely don't want to miss that video. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be taking a look at all the template options available in Snappa for you to be able to create your YouTube thumbnails, and I'm going to be giving you my tips and suggestions on how you should go about that. And for a little icing on the cake, we're going to be taking a look at the YouTube end cards as well. I seriously walked all the way to the kitchen just to make that joke. You're going to notice that a lot of this testing was done live over on my Twitch page. We spent a good amount of time at the beginning of the stream messing around with some of these things that I'm going to be using for a YouTube video. It could be a product or a website. So if you definitely want to be a part of that testing process, feel free to come over there and join us.
Smooth way to plug your stream,
You know
bro.
what, man? The biggest thing when making YouTube thumbnails is that simple is always better. Snappa really understands this, and as you're going through the template options, you're going to notice that all of them are simple in nature. Now, the biggest thing is you don't have to follow these templates to a T. They're completely customizable. You can delete everything off there if you just want the dimensions of the thumbnail, if you want to start from scratch. But if you want some ideas or to follow one of the templates, you can just delete things that you don't want, or replace the background or the text or anything you would like. Ultimately, the layout of the thumbnail is going to come to you because you can use a picture of yourself, you can use a picture of a product if that's what you're going for. But the main thing is that when you're looking at it, don't clutter it up with things that don't add to the thumbnail. So when I'm saying the word simple, it doesn't mean basic in this case. So really focus in on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to portray to the viewers, so that way when they're looking at the thumbnail, they're not getting a lot of fluff with it. One last side note of this is make sure that you understand that you can upload whatever images you want. You don't have to use all the stock images that are available. So like I said, if you want to add a picture of yourself, you can do that, or any other graphics as well, just by pressing the upload button in all of the graphics or background options. This leads us nicely into the next one, and as I just said, you can add whatever images you want to Snappa. But the coolest thing about this is if you want to make yourself transparent, or whatever the product you're using transparent, you can knock out the background with one click of a button. This is honestly one of the coolest features of Snappa, and I use the Affinity suite to edit all of my thumbnails currently, and it does pretty well with knocking out backgrounds. There may be a better way, but honestly, this is the way that I do it. But the one thing that's cool about this is if you have a well-lit product, let's say for example this orange that I used on stream, you can just press with one click of the button and it knocks out the entire background, which is super nice. So how you're going to do this is super simple. What you're going to do is you're going to go over to the graphics and you're going to press the upload button, because if you upload it as a background, it's not going to work, but as a graphic, it's just going to come in as a picture. And then from here, it's super simple. Just click the image, click the remove background button, and boom, magic. You have a knocked out background, baby. The next one to me is super important. If you decide to use text in your thumbnails, make sure it's not only simple, but it's also clean and readable to the viewer. Biggest thing you want to keep in mind is you want to consider legibility. So you don't want to sit here and have your text a crazy font like a cursive font, for example, because it's going to be hard for the viewer to read. So you want to keep it simple, like something like the impact font like I always use for my videos. But The other thing is that if you use a color in your text, make sure it's a simple text that also doesn't clash with your background. If you're looking at my thumbnails, one of the biggest things you're gonna notice is that all of my text has this 3D effect to it, and you're not gonna be able to do that, unfortunately, using Snappa. I tried, it just didn't work. But what you can do is you can add this awesome drop shadow that is honestly a little simpler in a lot of cases and is a little bit better. Also, something to keep in mind is you can use boxes to be able to separate your text from the background. So in a lot of cases, the templates already have some set up for you, but if you want to create your own, they're super simple to make. Just go over to the shapes. You can make circles, squares, triangles, whatever you want. Just go ahead and use whatever you feel like works best. One of the things I also like to do with my thumbnails is I like to add an overlay effect to my background. So you may notice that I have a gradient color or something else behind me, and you can actually do that in Snappa using the effects section and add an overlay over whatever background you want. So you can do whatever you want here. Just go into the effects section, and as you start adding the overlay, as you're seeing on screen right now, it's actually really simple. You can either make it a colored option or whatever you'd like, or you can make it a black and white option. There's just tons of versatility when you're thinking about making your backgrounds. That adds a little bit of a dramatic or a dynamic approach to how you make your thumbnails. Let's go ahead and take a look at end cards real quick. And the biggest thing with the end card templates that's really amazing is the fact that they have the exact dimensions that you need for YouTube all laid out, so that way you don't have to do all this extra work. When I first started making my end card templates, I had to go in and really make them from scratch. And honestly, I had to go in and like do this weird like copy and paste thing from YouTube to be able to get the dimensions right. And a lot of times it still wasn't right, so I had to keep messing with it. But what Snappa has done, especially recently, is the fact that they added YouTube end cards to the site, so that way you can just make them really easily and customize them however you want. If this is your first time using any type of end card graphic, this is actually really useful. So if you like to put the videos that you want people to watch at the end, or a subscribe button, for example, you can just have this nice little clean layout, so that way it looks more professional and looks better and matches all of your branding. The biggest thing I want everybody to take away from this video is the fact that Snappa is an amazing tool with awesome templates to be able to use to make your content creation easier, because at the end of the day, what do you want to focus on? You want to focus on making amazing content. And if you struggle with the design side, why would you sit here and put hours into trying to create awesome thumbnails or end cards or anything like that when you could have them built for you by Snappa? So while that doesn't mean that you can go and just rip off stuff and not be creative, it means that it can make the process easier for you, so that way you don't have to sit here worrying about design work as much. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is part 2 of 3, and part 1 is going to be right over here on the left for you to click, so that way you can learn how to make your logo and your design work for your YouTube channel. But anyways, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.